Welcome to Victory Achieved Gaming. This is Owen, also known as Immortalium.
And Kathlynn.
And we are back with some more Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Yay!
Now, Kathlynn just told me that she, despite the fact that this is like 2 months after the last recording session, she has not looked at anything to do with Puyo Puyo Tetris.
That's fine. Let's just go to a venture and figure it out.
I'm hoping that she'll be able to do this, but we'll see. So, I believe...
Did we see this already?
I'm trying to remember, did you get stuck on this level, or is this new?
We'll just watch it just in case.
Okay.
Let's turn
Go ahead and put it all on anyway. So, what's been going on in my life recently, huh? Well, one thing I can quickly talk about, just for anyone who's curious, because, if you're watching this, you're watching Victory Achieved Gaming. So I recently put up a very different type of video. It is, the first time someone's playing Kingdom Hearts.
Or a game in general.
Or in general games, yeah. Well, I mean, they played Pong and stuff when they were younger and stuff, but...
Okay, no.
Bit different, yeah. Little bit different.
Okay, so what am I? I'm playing Tetris. Okay.
Yes.
The Echo.
And I think this is just normal...
I don't think I've done this.
Tetris. Well, we'll see. I'd have to double check the footage to be 100%, but
and it's L1 is hold, isn't it?
I think so,
yeah,
yes.
It is, yeah.
And then up is like to bring it down very quickly.
Yeah.
Anyway, while you're doing that,
how do I switch them around again? Oh.
I think it's like
here. Fine. Figured it out.
Yeah. I think square circle, isn't it? Isn't that the one? Or what are you hitting to do that? Just out of
I don't
curiosity.
know.
Helpful. Anyway, so I released a bit of a different video, folks, recently. You might have noticed. It is, the first time someone's playing Kingdom Hearts, and, someone who isn't very familiar with games, and I was just kind of observing. I was inspired, and I mentioned this in the video, by Rasputin's videos.
Oh no.
Which I often bring up. I think I've actually mentioned it several times on this channel already.
No!
It's fine, she's just getting back into it, folks.
Okay, I totally fucked up, but it's okay.
Now, if you think you're really messed up, you could just restart it.
Oh, true.
But
no, we'll keep going and we'll just fail together, everybody.
That's fair. Because, I mean, right now you're practicing, so it's fine. Anyway, where was I at? Oh, yeah. So...
No.
I thought about making that for a long time, but I was kind of wondering, like, how should I do it? How should I format it? What game should I start with? Etc., etc. Actually, thought Kingdom Hearts was an interesting one because of the fact that you have Destiny Island, which is a relatively safe location. So, it was an interesting video overall, and I would encourage folks to check it out. Maybe give me some recommendations on, the format. Do you like the format of it? Are there any improvements you think I could do? What games do you want me to cover in the future? All that kind of stuff. I have a bunch of ideas for games, but it'd be cool to hear some suggestions anyway. So, yeah, that's one aspect. And then the other aspect of life. Well, I'll share an interesting little story. Definitely something that happened over the course of the summer. So, Kathlynn, do you know anything about the controversy regarding payment processors recently?
Oh, we talked about this, but I can't remember roughly.
Okay, so I'll go to it in a bit of detail. So basically, recently, a bunch of games were forced off of Steam and itch.io. I don't know if you know.
It's due with it's because I remember. Yeah, I know what. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. And these were all kind of adult games, although some other games got caught in the crossfire as well. And apparently this was to do with a group called Collective Shout, which is this like Christian organization in Australia.
I thought it was to do with the fact that the card companies didn't want those games on their thing.
Well, yeah, but they sent like this letter to the card companies, like pressuring them. And they ended up complying despite, massive backlash.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the thing is, this has actually been going on for years. But this is easily the most visible of it, in recent years. For instance, in the past, we've seen numerous platforms, refuse to stock or cover adult media simply because there's a risk that they could get cut off from these payment processors, which I think is a super dangerous thing when a private company can determine what another company sells, like legally as well.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest. The more money you have, yeah.
Yeah, but it's deeply concerning.
Shit, that was wrong.
Because, like, for instance, I'm covering adult content on UK Anime Network. And...
Well, yeah, because it's free speech.
Yeah, then there's, like, a lot of, like... There's a lot of good media within that area. Now, there's a lot of bad media as well. Like, I'm not going to act as if, like, you know, there isn't, because there certainly is. Do you remember me telling you about the visual novel Dead Days?
Yeah, you did. Oh, yeah.
That was disgusting.
Yeah, but you know what? If people want to know...
But then there's other great ones that, you know, I've experienced. Like, the one I bring up, because it's my favorite that I've read so far, is Catching Feelings at the Final Showdown. I mentioned that to you before, I think.
Oh, I think you did.
So it's a Yuri one. And usually I'm not that gung-ho on Yuri, folks. I mean, I like the storytelling of it, but, like, you know, all the other aspects of it I'm not as fond of. But I thought the way that like, manga... or doujin, I should say, was structured and written, I thought it was fantastic. It was a great experience. Like, I was worried about the premise because I thought it sounds like it could be very one note. But they actually made it really funny in the dialogue. A big part of it being the contrast between what they're, like, exerting visually and what they're actually thinking. Because if you need to sum up most of it, it's basically the equivalent of the scene from SpongeBob where, like, Squidward is looking at Squilliam and he's going like, okay, Squidward, try to imagine him in his underwear. And then you see, like, super buff, sexy Squilliam. And he's like, oh no, he's hot!
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what the manga is, because it's these two people who are meant to be, like, mortal enemies with each other. And they finally, like, see each other.
And they're like, damn, I'm attracted to you.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, she's gorgeous, you know? So it's just very funny from that perspective. I think it's a very good read. I thought there was a couple of issues with it. I thought the way it transitioned to the actual sex scenes was a little jarring.
Okay.
Because it's like, they've lost their weapons, so their logic of fighting each other is, you know, doing that stuff with each other. Like, who will last the longest, you know, that kind of thing.
Of course.
Which was a bit... I was like, this seems a little strange, you know.
You know, I expect that from something like...
Yeah, but, like, this had been pretty well written up to that point, and so that it stood out even more. And then I thought the pacing of it was fantastic all the way up to the end. I thought the end of it was a little slower than I would have cared for. It kind of lost some of the gas that it had going through. But it was great overall. And, like, that is legitimate art. And we're seeing all these other companies, like these payment processors.
But some hentai is actually good. Like some people say some porn actually has, like, really in-depth storytelling as well.
Well, I mean, I don't...
Not all, but
I don't watch the live-action stuff.
Oh, either do I. I don't watch porn at all, but, like...
Unless you count that one which you were teasing me about, Nymphomaniac.
Oh, yeah.
Which has Shia LaBeouf and Uma Thurman and all that, but they've got, like... It's got real sex scenes in it, but their top halves are superimposed onto these porn actors who are then, like, actually doing sex.
Yeah,
So that's not... I mean, the problem...
No, that's not the way I wanted it to go. Oh, for fuck's sake.
The problem is that a lot of people define porn in weird ways.
Yeah, totally lost.
Like, a lot of them seem to have the idea that if there's anything redeemable in it, then it isn't porn, you know? So, like, porn is only the trashiest, like, most, like, messed up and, like, low-quality stuff, which isn't true.
No, some porn apparently is, like, really well written.
So
it's kind of funny when you think about it, but, like...
Yeah. So, it's just, it's a shame. It's a shame. It's an absolute shame, and I think it's something that people need to...
No!
Like, fight against. Because...
Oh, that was a Tetris. I didn't even know.
Like, actually, I was telling you about this, Kathlynn. I don't know where it'll be by the time this video comes out, but you know, I submitted a petition to the government, right?
You did, yeah.
And I don't think I told you because
I didn't know if you got a response or anything 'cause the last time we talked
I didn't
about
so much get a response, but I did see that it got added to the list of pending petitions.
Okay.
It's
What,
getting-
what was it for again? It was for this thing, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
to stop payment processors from like pressuring other companies to remove goods.
I do kind of can see why that was added, because that could be if they because it could be used for other things as well.
Yeah, some other countries have actually set up proper petitions, whereas this one is currently being studied or for compliance with standing orders. Something I don't exactly know what that
Oh
means.
fuck, that was.
I'm hoping the fact that other countries, like in Australia and Canada, for instance, there's petitions going on. So I'm hoping the fact that other countries are doing that means that
Yeah.
it's more likely that it'll succeed here as well.
Well, I say they probably looked into it and saw other countries are doing it, so they were like, okay, if other countries are doing it, it makes sense someone wants to do it here, and are probably looking
But it's
into
still
it.
possible they could turn it down in the end here before it
Yeah,
even like.
they could, but sure. Shit. Why? I totally fucked up. Okay.
You probably shouldn't necessarily be talking with me.
Yeah,
You probably should
probably
be focusing.
not. Okay, I'm just gonna retry because I'm going. No, retry.
But yeah, so that's a bit of a concern at the moment, and I'm trying to deal with that a little bit in my own way. Part of the reason why I brought that up was because the other thing I was doing during the summer, which was among many other things. So folks know that I've been talking about Ocean Vale for a while. They're a streaming service that is meant to cover both safe for work titles and not safe for work titles. And I remember interviewing them, and having a bit of positivity with it. After the interview, I was like, okay, this sounds good. The direction they're going, And then the website actually came out, and I looked at it, and I was like, this is a bit rougher than I was hoping for. But they had emphasized how open they were to feedback during during the lead up to it. So I was like, okay, this is rough, but they'll accept feedback. So I'll write up a first impressions. I'll put both positives and negatives in there, as well as some suggestions of how to change things, and send to them. And hopefully all the stuff will get sorted out. And I sent it to them, and they got the response. I hesitate to call it cold, but it seems slightly dismissive. It was something like, I hope that once more content has been added that you'll reconsider looking at the website.
Which I kind of get, because you said they were waiting on like certain things, I think, as well.
Well, so the content was one part of it, but there were other more fundamental issues. Like, for instance, I mentioned this during our Dark Souls series. Like, with their adult content, when they like list them in like the shelves and stuff, they list them individually, episodes wise.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is insane. Like, I don't see any good reason for them to do that. And it just becomes more confusing to people, and it kind of messed up. But anyway, so I send that along. I waited a while. They only made one change based on my suggestion, which was under Discord. They added a new channel, feedback, which was like, okay, they did that.
Positive.
But so, but a lot of these other bigger, more fundamental issues were still there. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll do it again. So what I did was I made a video, which is the most popular video on that channel now, Culture Immortality. I did a review of the Ocean Vale service, talking about, reiterating some of my points, but also talking about how some of the changes that have been made, as well as the content that was available there. For instance, I did this extensive thing where I went through all of MAL, which is my anime list for folks, looking at the actual like ratings that each show got and getting an average out of it, and all that kind of stuff. And they actually promoted it on their Twitter. I remember, like, they quote retweeted it, and talking about like all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, okay, great, they retweeted it. Maybe they'll like take this seriously now. Like, and they didn't. And so I was wondering to myself, is it because I'm just one person? Like, okay, I write for UK Anime Network, so maybe that should give me a little bit of extra level, but the thing is I'm only one person at the end of the day. So maybe they thought I was like, dictating too much how the site should go. So what I did, I don't remember if I told you this, Caitlin, you don't have to respond if you don't want to, is I set up a survey.
I remember this.
And originally I was very ambitious. I was hoping to get 500 respondents. I only got 50 by the time I had to present it. And as of the recording of this video, it's up to 86. But there's still a lot of information in there because not only is there stuff tick and stuff to fill up charts and stuff, but there's also lots of sections where people can give their own opinions, write out stuff, talk about what they want, what features they want to include, any issues they've had, etc., etc. So it has a ton of information in it. And it was around that time when I was getting the presentation ready when that whole payment processor debacle erupted. And so even though, I was hoping to do it live for them, the presentation live.
See, that could be affecting them as well.
Yes, it very much has been, yes. So I was like, okay, they're probably very busy trying to deal with all this.
Because they probably weren't expecting that either to come.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, what I'll do is I'll record this presentation and send it to them along with the survey. Which I did. I recorded a presentation, I think it was about a half hour long, going through some of the big points within the survey information. And then I also made sure to include the survey itself so that they could have direct access to the information in there. And their response genuinely left me cold.
See, they're probably just trying to figure out as well. I don't know.
Yeah, but that would all be one thing. But then there was this big controversy that erupted recently with them.
Oh, what was that? I actually don't know this.
So on their Discord, you remember I mentioned they have a feedback channel?
Yeah.
So it turned out that so do you know what bitrate is with regards to video?
Kind of.
Okay, I better explain what it is then. So basically bitrate is the amount of information that is in a video. The amount of bits that are kind of playing at any one point. So the larger the file, generally the more bits it'll be. Now it also varies depending on length and resolution.
Yeah.
But if you have a low bitrate, the image will look blocky. You'll see that dark scenes, there'll be these banding that happens where all the darkness kind of coalesces into one color. You'll get artifacting, all this kind of ugly looking stuff. So it's not good. And it turned out that Ocean Vale was actually had a lower bitrate than they were claiming.
Oh, that's not good.
No, it isn't. And this seemed to be genuinely confusing to Yaman because he said look, my engineers told me that it's this, and he tried to share some evidence. But then the others responded with irrefutable proof that the bitrate was not what it said it was. And there's multiple ways that could have been handled. But
okay,
what ended up happening was this person who had actually been a pretty good person in the community, this moderator, they were actually noted by a couple of people in the survey as being one of their favorite things about Ocean Vale. The fact they get to talk to this guy and who's so frank with them and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But they deleted the messages that they did, which was, trying to prove that it was okay. And as of the recording of this video, they haven't responded anymore on Discord. They just completely stopped.
Okay.
Now, I know a few background details, but I'm not in the position to actually...
No, you can't.
So, I can't reveal any of the specifics I know of. But it was just really disappointing because, as I said, they had marketed themselves so heavily on, being responsive to feedback. And in the end, it doesn't seem like they were. So
maybe they're still trying to... You don't know. Maybe they're still trying to figure things out.
They possibly, yeah, but there was some very obvious... okay, here's the most objectively right thing that in terms of my recommendations to them. So, because remember, folks, I talked at one point about subjective and objective, So one can have subjective opinion being something like, I think it would be better if the shelves were organized like this way, you know, because it's like, I think, you know?
Yeah.
It's my opinion. But I had, among all of my stuff, one little recommendation that I thought was as objective as possible. On their landing page, they said, like in one section, it was, why chose Oceanvale?
Why choose?
That's the point.
Oh, no, that's...
They had written CHOSE. And obviously, it's meant to be CHOOSE.
Did they just maybe get not a great translator for that?
Possibly. But the thing is, I actually told them about it back in March. I mentioned it as part of my email. I didn't include it as part of the article, but I did mention it in the email. I was like, hey, one small thing. On the page, you know, this word is spelled like this, and it should actually be this, you know?
Yeah,
I think, in terms of recommendations, that's one, like, the most objective ones I could do. Like, in terms of
I would have just assumed maybe it was just a translation error, because they are Japanese at the end of the day.
But they didn't change it at all. And I was like, if they can't even change this one small objective issue, like, there isn't any way to argue that, you know, it's the correct thing, like, this is legitimately just wrong in English, you know, then how are they going to respond to, like, you know, all of this other, like, stuff, the ones that are actually more subjective, you know, the ones where you know, you could argue that, you know, it should be done in a certain way. So there was just all that stuff happening. And, like, I've written up an article. It hasn't gone up yet on UK Anime Network, but I did send it to them just to make sure, because I don't want any, like, bad blood with them. And your man was very nice when he responded. I don't want to go into specifics, but he specifically asked me, don't use any part of these emails as part of it.
Which is fair.
Which is fair. But, like, his response was nice, you know? I was kind of dreading the response, particularly after I talked to you about it. Okay.
Yeah, I was slightly dreading response, but you told me that since it went okay, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because I do know they are very much Flander heavy suing in Korea and Japan and stuff, in Egypt, basically.
Yeah, but so it's just a case that, like, at this point, I've just got to say, okay, that's it. I'm gonna wait. I'm still hoping that they'll be successful.
I'm assuming they just probably have a lot to figure out now. I say they're probably coming through. My guess is they're probably going through more obstacles than they expected, and they're trying to figure it out. That's my guess.
Yeah, but I still think there's some ways they could do, like, public relations stuff that could...
Oh, shit. They probably could have figured it out better.
Like, there's literally no reason why they left that for so long. Like, why chose Oceanvale.
Yeah.
You even tried to correct me.
I actually genuinely thought you were saying it wrong for some reason. That's very unlike you, Owen. Was going
yeah, because that would be so weird that I'd make that kind of mistake, but that was the point.
I was thinking maybe you had, like, a brain fart moment, and you know what I mean.
I get what you're saying.
Because, like, everyone has those.
Everyone has those, yeah.
Like, you are not... Like, you've definitely had brain fart moments.
Oh, definitely.
Like, we all have. They're like, where you just go... I just assumed... I'm going to be honest. I was just assuming it was a brain fart moment. And I was like, oh, and just messed up a little.
Nah. If that was the point. So I was like, yeah, that's, like, the most objective recommendation I can give them, I think. Because, again, I don't see how anyone could argue to keep that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these other suggestions I was giving are, like, opinions, essentially. Like, I think it would be better if it was like this. I think it would be better if it was like this. But in that situation, I was like, there's nothing to discuss, really. It's just an objective, like, change this, you know? It's not a good look otherwise, you know? Okay, I better...
Yeah. No, I meant to switch it back.
Well,
yeah, totally lost, but sure.
That's fine. So, I've just went through all of that.